They say your mother is supposed to love you unconditionally. That no matter what happens, she'll be the one person in the world who never gives up on you. I held on to that belief for 16 years. My name is Kayla Bennett. I'm 24 now, but back then, I was just a high school junior with a messy bun, a backpack full of textbooks, and a heart that still believed my mom would never choose anyone over me. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. It started slowly, like most betrayals do. At first, I noticed little changes. My mom, Diane, started working shorter hours, then longer ones. Then she quit her job altogether when she started dating Greg, the man she met at her friend's backyard barbecue. Greg came with baggage. 2 kids, Brittany, who was 12 and always acted like she was better than everyone, and Mason, who was 10 and never looked up from his iPad. My mom used to call me her smart girl. She'd sit at the kitchen table helping me with math, even if she didn't understand it. She used to make pancakes shaped like hearts on my birthday. She used to say, "It's just you and me, kid. We've got this." That version of her disappeared when Greg moved in. Suddenly, my place in the house started shrinking. My bedroom, which I'd painted myself with teal and white stripes, became Brittany's dream room. I got moved to the pull-out couch in the living room. I came home one day to find all my books in a box. My trophies, my sketch pads, everything shoved aside to make space for Greg's kids. I remember standing in the middle of the living room, holding my AP biology textbook like it was a shield. "Why are my things packed up?" I asked. My mom didn't even look up from her glass of wine. "We needed space. You'll be fine on the couch for now." "For now?" I asked. My voice cracked. Greg chimed in from the kitchen. "Come on, Kayla. You're almost an adult. It's not like you need a whole room for yourself." I looked at my mom, begging her with my eyes to defend me. But she just shrugged and said, "He's right." That was the beginning of the end. From there, it got worse. The groceries started disappearing faster. Brittany would finish the last of the milk and smirk when I called her out. Greg started making jokes about how I was too serious all the time. My mom? She laughed. It wasn't just the physical things they took. It was the air in the house. The way I used to feel safe gone. One night, I came home from my after-school job at the diner to find the front door locked. I knocked. And knocked. My mom opened the door halfway, her robe loosely tied around her waist. "You're late," she said flatly. "I texted you," I whispered. "We had a rush at work." She crossed her arms. "Greg and I talked. This isn't working anymore. You're making the other kids uncomfortable. You don't help out. You talk back. Maybe it's time you find somewhere else to stay." My heart sank. "Are you kicking me out?" She rolled her eyes. "I'm not kicking you out. I'm just saying maybe it's better for everyone if you take some time away. Get your head straight." I stood there, backpack still slung over one shoulder, cold from walking home in the wind. "You gave my room to your boyfriend's daughter," I said, my voice shaking. "You gave my place in this house away." And I'll never forget what she said next. "You were never easy to live with, Kayla." That night, I slept in the booth of the diner where I worked. My manager, Lisa, found me in the morning and took me to her sister's house. I stayed there for 6 months. 6 months of shifting between friends' couches, school, work, and trying not to break down in public bathrooms. But I kept going. I studied harder. I got scholarships. I graduated with honors. I enrolled in a state college, worked part-time, and built a new life from the ground up, brick by lonely brick. And I told myself I was okay, that I didn't need her, that the past was over. Until one day, 2 years after I graduated college, I got a call from an unknown number. I didn't recognize the voice right away. "Kayla? It's your mom." My stomach turned. I hadn't heard her voice in years. I thought maybe she'd changed. Maybe this was her apology. But no, not even close. She said, "Hey, so, I heard you're doing well. I saw your article in the Business Journal." "That's amazing." I stayed silent. Then came the punchline. "I was wondering if you could help your brother and sister with college. Brittany's thinking of nursing. Mason's still undecided, but they'll both need help. And you're doing so great now, honey." It'd mean a lot. Honey. She kicked me out with a trash bag full of clothes, didn't call for years, and now I was honey. I didn't even answer. I hung up. And then I laughed. A bitter, breathless laugh that felt like it had been trapped in my chest for 8 years. Because now the girl who was too much to handle? She's got the money, the degrees, the story, and soon, the plan. When I hang up that call from my mom, I stare at my phone for a long time. Not because I'm unsure, but because I'm stunned she actually thought it would work. All those years, no calls, no letters, no checking in to see if I made it out alive. And the first words out of her mouth are about money. Not for me. For her real family. I almost laugh again. Almost. But the truth is that call stirs something in me. Not just old pain, but something deeper. Something sharper. Because now I finally see it. The way she only values me when I'm useful. I don't owe her anything. But I owe myself the truth. So I decide to go back. Not to stay. Not to reconnect. But to finally close the door that she never let me walk through properly. The next weekend, I drive out to the same town where she kicked me out. The roads feel smaller now. Like they don't fit me anymore. Her house, no, that house, looks the same. White siding, rusty mailbox. The same wind chime I used to hate still creaks on the porch. I knock. I'm not sure what I expect. But I know it isn't what I get. She opens the door and her face lights up like I'm some kind of celebrity. Kayla. Oh my gosh, you look amazing. She opens her arms like we're going to hug. I don't move. She drops her arms slowly, like she forgot who I was dealing with. I can't believe how far you've come. I raise an eyebrow. You mean since you threw me out? Her smile fades, but she waves it off. That was a tough time for all of us. I know it wasn't handled perfectly, but you were angry and hard to reach back then. No, I interrupt. I was 16. You were the adult. She goes quiet. Good. Then Greg comes to the door. Kayla. Long time, huh? I glance at him, but I don't say a word. I walk past them both and step inside. And there's Brittany, sitting at the dining table with a glossy college brochure in front of her. Mason's on the couch, still glued to a screen. Wow, Brittany says, smirking. Didn't think you'd actually show up. I look at her, look at the house, and it hits me. They haven't changed a bit. My mother walks behind me, hands nervously wringing. We're just hoping you'd be willing to help your siblings get the same shot you got. I turn. The same shot I fought for. Alone. Greg chimes in. You're doing well. Isn't that what family does? Help each other? I want to scream. But I don't. Instead, I do something better. I smile. I tell them I'll think about it. I say I'll need to see their financials. I ask for Brittany's grades. Mason's goals. I say it all calmly, politely. They light up like Christmas trees. Because to them, I'm just a wallet now. And that's fine. Let them think I'm going along with it. Let them think they've still got control. Because while they're busy pulling together paperwork, I'm doing something else entirely. I'm calling a journalist I know. The one who profiled me last year for her Women Who Rose From Nothing series. I tell her I want to tell the full story this time. No holding back. The couch. The trash bags. The betrayal. She's hooked. 3 weeks later, the article drops. It's not just a puff piece. It's front page of the Sunday feature. My photo. My story. The headline reads, From Abandoned Teen to CEO, How Kayla Bennett Built Her Future Without a Family Net. It's honest. Brutal. Beautiful. I don't name names. I don't need to. The timeline, the details, they speak volumes. And the best part? I get to control the narrative for once. The response is overwhelming. Emails. Messages. Invitations to speak. Women young and old, telling me they see themselves in me. But the cherry on top? The next time my mom calls, her voice is trembling. I didn't know you were going to make it public. I keep my tone calm. I didn't name you. I told my story. You made me look heartless. You made me feel disposable. Silence. Then she says the most predictable thing in the world. Well, if you're going to act like this, maybe we shouldn't expect anything from you after all. And I just say, good. Then I hang up. Because the truth is, I came back to see if there was anything worth saving. There isn't. But that doesn't mean I'm broken. It means I'm free. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not that 16-year-old crying on a diner bench. I'm the woman who made it out. And now? I know exactly what I'm going to do next. A week after the article goes viral, my inbox is overflowing. Not just with congratulations, but with requests. Radio shows, podcasts, panels, girls' schools asking if I'd come speak. But one message, one single email, brings me to tears. It's from a girl named Natalie. She's 17. She writes, I read your story. I live with my aunt who says the same things your mom did, that I'm too difficult, too much, not worth the effort. I was thinking about running away. But then I read about you. And now I think maybe I can make it too. I stare at her message for 20 minutes straight. Then I close my laptop and go for a walk. The streets are loud, busy, life going on around me, and I'm lost in one thought. I didn't fight this hard just to escape. I fought so someone like Natalie doesn't have to feel alone. So I do something I never thought I'd do. I rent an office. A tiny space in an old building with flickering lights and chipped paint, but it's mine. I print out a sign and tape it to the glass door. The Table Project, no one gets left behind. It's not a charity. It's a launchpad. Workshops for young women who've been discarded by their families. Free coaching. College help. Housing referrals. I take everything I wished I'd had at 16 and build it for someone else. The news starts picking it up again. The headline this time? She was kicked out by her mother. Now she's building a table for everyone left out. I post it to my social media and it explodes. Natalie messages me again. You made something out of there nothing. That's the kind of revenge I want too. She doesn't know it yet, but she'll be my first intern this summer. Then one day, I get a knock at my office door. I'm typing away with a coffee in hand when I hear it. It's Brittany. Still all lip gloss and entitlement, standing in the doorway like she's done me a favor by showing up. Wow. This is cute, she says, looking around the space like it's beneath her. I blink. Why are you here? She shrugs. Mom said you're helping girls. I figured maybe you'd help me too. I want to go into nursing, remember? I stare at her stunned. She's not ashamed. Not regretful. She's just opportunistic. I take a deep breath and gesture for her to sit. She plops down like she owns the place. So, can I get help with applications? Maybe funding. I look her in the eyes and say, we help people who've been left behind. She blinks. I'm your sister. No, I say calmly. You're the girl who laughed when I was pushed out of my room. Who called me a charity case when I slept on couches. You're not my sister. You're just someone who watched and said nothing. Her mouth hangs open. Also, I add, we don't accept entitlement here. Just resilience. She leaves with a scoff, muttering something about how I'm still bitter. But I'm not bitter. I'm clear. This space, this mission, it's not for her. Later that night, I get another call from my mom. I don't answer. She leaves a voicemail I won't listen to. Because now I'm too busy printing welcome packets for my new mentorship group. The girls coming tomorrow? They're hungry for change. And they remind me of myself. One of them, a quiet girl named Mia, reminds me so much of who I was that it knocks the wind out of me. Same timid posture. Same eyes that scan the room for signs of safety. I sit across from her and say, you're not a burden here. And the way her lip trembles before she smiles? That's the only reward I need. My success didn't come from money. It came from survival. It came from walking away, not just from the house, but from the idea that I needed them to become someone. Now I help girls unlearn the same lies I once believed. That they're only worth what they can offer. That love is conditional. That being too much is a flaw. It isn't. It never was. 2 months after the Table Project opens, we're running at full speed. We've helped 12 girls file college applications. 3 found stable housing. 1 reunited with a sibling who actually cared. I've never worked harder or felt more fulfilled. But success? It's funny. It starts drawing people you never thought would look your way again. One morning, I'm in the middle of an intake interview with a girl named Serena, 18, soft-spoken, still hiding bruises behind long sleeves, when my assistant knocks. I'm so sorry, Kayla, but there's someone here who says it's urgent. It's a woman in a sleek suit. Blonde. clipboard in hand. Corporate. Immediately, I get tense. She introduces herself as Angela, says she's from an elite women's empowerment foundation. Says they've been following my work. We'd like to feature you at our annual gala, she says, her voice silky. You'd be our keynote speaker. Spotlight story. Major donors will be there. I should be thrilled. And part of me is. This is the kind of exposure that could fund my entire program for a year. But then she hands me the prep packet. Inside, it's all there. Headshots, a pre-written bio, talking points. Except, something's off. There's no mention of how I was kicked out. No word about couch hopping, hunger, trash bags on the curb. Instead, the summary reads, Kayla Bennett, a rising entrepreneur who overcame early family hardship to launch a mentorship nonprofit for girls. Family hardship. That's what they're calling it now. Neat. Sanitized. Marketable. I sit with it for hours. On one hand, this is a massive opportunity. On the other, it feels like I'm being invited in, but only if I leave parts of myself behind. The messy parts. The truth. So I ask Angela to meet again. We sit in a cafe. She's smiling, sipping a latte. I notice the script didn't mention the specifics of my story, I say. She nods. It's just cleaner this way. Less controversial. I stare at her. You mean less uncomfortable? She pauses. Look, we believe in your mission. But our donors prefer inspirational stories, not ones that make them feel guilty. And there it is. They want the outcome, not the journey. The success, not the scars. I go home and stare at my old notebook. The one I used to scribble in when I slept on friends' floors. Where I wrote down every idea, every dream, every version of the life I hoped I could build. I flip to a page that says in shaky handwriting, if I ever make it out, I won't hide what it took. That settles it. I call Angela back the next day. I'll do your gala, I say, but I write my own speech. And I tell my real story. Every word. There's a pause. We'll have to run that by the board. You do that, I reply, and let me know if they prefer image or impact. Click. The night of the gala arrives. I wear a sleek black dress, hair in soft curls. Not because I want to impress them, but because I want them to see the power I built from scratch. The ballroom is dripping in chandeliers and white tablecloths. Everyone's drinking champagne and tossing around buzzwords like empowerment and resilience. I step on stage. The room hushes. I begin. When I was 16, my mother packed my things into trash bags and told me there wasn't space for me anymore, not with her new husband and his kids. I wasn't rebellious. I wasn't broken. I was just inconvenient. A few heads tilt. Others freeze. I go on. I talk about the nights I slept on benches. The times I cried in silence so no one would think I was weak. The way I crawled through shame before I found strength. And then I say, empowerment isn't about polished speeches and curated bios. It's about the ugly, brutal truth. And the choice to stand in it anyway. When I finish, there's a long pause. Then a standing ovation. And not the polite kind. The kind where people are actually moved. Angela doesn't speak to me afterward. But 5 young women do. They tell me they've never heard someone be that honest on a stage like this. One of them? Her name is Lauren. She tells me she's the daughter of a CEO in the room, and that tonight, for the first time, she saw someone talk about pain without shame. I shake her hand and think, this is why I did it. A week later, I get a letter. From my mom. A real, handwritten letter. She writes, I saw your speech. It hurt to hear. But it was the truth. I won't ask you for anything again. Just, I hope someday you'll let me apologize in person. I stare at the words. And for the first time in years, I cry. Not out of anger, but out of the weight finally being named. Not forgiven. Not erased. Just faced. And that's enough. The week after the gala, I try to stay focused. We get new grant offers. Our intake list triples. The media won't stop calling. Everyone wants a soundbite now. But my mind? It's still on that letter. The one from my mom. The one I didn't answer. Because the truth is, I don't know how. One afternoon, I'm sorting old files in the office when I find a name I haven't seen in years. Nicole Walker. My best friend in high school. The first person who let me crash on her floor the night my mom kicked me out. I blink at the file. She'd emailed us for volunteer info months ago, before the gala, but I must have missed it in the chaos. I don't even think. I just call. Nicole? I say when she answers. There's a pause. Then. Wait. Kayla? Kayla Bennett. We talk for 3 hours. She tells me she watched my gala speech. I bawled, she says. You always had that fire. I just didn't know how big it'd get. Turns out, Nicole's now a social worker at a youth shelter downtown. Doing the work, quietly, day after day. We meet the next day. Coffee turns into dinner. And somewhere between laughing over old yearbook photos and comparing notes on burnout, she says something that sticks with me. You remember what you told me that first night you slept over? I shake my head. You said, I don't want them to win by breaking me. I pause. And did I break? She smiles. Nah. You rebuilt. Later that night, I sit on my apartment balcony, warm mug in hand, staring at the city lights. And I start thinking about all the people who didn't break me. Not just Nicole, but the teachers who bent rules to get me extra time. The boss at the diner who slid me a free meal after my shift. The college advisor who said, we'll find a way. They weren't blood, but they showed up. They reminded me that family isn't always who you come from. Sometimes it's who you meet on the way up. 3 days later, I get a call. The caller ID? Unknown. I answer, and a voice I haven't heard in 10 years speaks softly. Kayla? It's your Uncle James. My heart skips. He was my mom's brother. The only relative who ever defended me back then. The one she told to mind his own business the day she kicked me out. I hadn't seen him since. I saw the clip of you speaking, he says. I just wanted to say I'm proud. And I'm sorry for not fighting harder. I swallow hard. We talk. He tells me he's divorced now. Lives alone. Teaches at a local community college. And then he says something that almost makes me drop the phone. Your brother. Mark. He's been asking about you. A lot. My stomach tightens. Mark. My half-brother. One of the new kids Mom had with her new husband. He was 8 when I left. Too young to understand why I was gone. Too young to know that the room he got used to be mine. I never blamed him. But I never reached out either. He's 17 now, Uncle James says. Smart kid. Quiet. But he asked me why no one talks about you. Why your pictures disappeared. He knew something was wrong. I don't know what to say. James adds, he doesn't believe what your mom told him. And he's old enough now to want answers for himself. The next day, I sit with Nicole and tell her everything. The letter from Mom. The call from Uncle James. The truth about Mark. I don't know what to do, I whisper. Nicole watches me carefully. You don't owe anyone forgiveness, she says. But if you want truth, maybe it starts with him. That night, I write a letter. To Mark. You probably don't remember me clearly, and that's okay. But I remember you. I remember your laugh when you played with Legos on the floor. I remember how you cried when I left and called for me from the window. I didn't leave you. I was pushed out. And I hope someday, if you want to talk, we can. I seal the envelope. And I feel lighter. A week later, I get a reply. It's short. Messy handwriting. I always wondered why no one said your name. I never forgot you. I want to talk. I don't know what's true, but I want to know. There are tears in my eyes when I finish reading. Because in a life full of being cut off, this feels like a thread reconnecting. Not with Mom. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But with the one person who was taught to forget me and didn't. The story isn't over. The pain still echoes. But there's something powerful about reclaiming your voice. And something even more healing about being remembered, not just for who you became, but for who you always were. It's a warm Saturday afternoon when I see her again. We meet at a small cafe just outside of town. Neutral ground. Public. Safe. I'm early. She's later than she said she'd be. I don't know why that still irritates me after all these years, but it does. Some things don't change. Then I see her walking in with that familiar quick stride like she owns the air around her. Her hair's shorter now, dyed lighter. Her face is more tired, but her eyes, they're the same. Cold, calculating. Eyes that once told me I was a burden. She spots me, gives a tight smile. I don't smile back. She sits down across from me, folding her hands too neatly on the table. I didn't expect you to agree to meet, she says. I almost didn't, I reply. She breathes out a sharp sigh. I just thought it was time. Time for what? I ask. An apology? Or a favor? She blinks at the tone. Good. Look, Kayla, she begins, her voice syrupy. I know we haven't spoken in a long time. I've seen what you've done with your life. You're successful. I'm proud of you. I raise an eyebrow. She goes on, and it made me think, your brother and sister, they're about to finish high school. They want to go to college, but money's been tight. You know how expensive tuition is, and… Cut it, I snap, sharper than I meant. She flinches, then quickly regains her composure, straightening up. I take a slow breath. My voice softens, but not by much. You kicked me out. You let me sleep in a stranger's car because you wanted a quieter house for your new family. You never called. Never checked if I survived. And now you want help paying for your children's future. Her lips tighten. They're your siblings. They're your responsibility, I say. I was your daughter too, remember? She stays silent. Her jaw clenches. I lean forward. You didn't just abandon me. You erased me. Told people I was troubled. Said I left to explore. You lied. And now that I'm someone the world respects, you want to link yourself to me again. That's not fair, she mutters. No, I say. What wasn't fair was being 16, sobbing in the backseat of a friend's car with everything I owned in a trash bag while you gave my room to your stepson. I see her flinch again. This time, it feels like it lands. There's a long silence between us. People sip lattes and tap on laptops all around, unaware that 2 broken years are unraveling across this tiny table. Then she speaks. I didn't know it'd turn out like this. I thought you'd come back. I thought if I gave it space. No, I cut in. You hoped I'd fail. You hoped I'd come crawling back, begging to be let in. And when I didn't, that's when you forgot me. She stares at me. No tears. Just regret buried under 10 layers of pride. You could have apologized, I say. Years ago. But you didn't. I didn't know how, she admits. You still don't, I reply quietly. She clears her throat, shifting in her seat. Kayla. I know I wasn't perfect. Don't, I interrupt again. Don't give me the not perfect speech. You weren't just imperfect. You were cruel. More silence. Then she says, so what happens now? I look at her. And for the first time in a long time, I don't feel rage. I don't feel longing. I don't even feel sadness. I feel clarity. I'm not giving you money, I say. Not for them. Not for you. Not for anything. I owe you nothing. Her face falls. You'd let them suffer? They're not suffering, I say calmly. They have you. And a house. And resources. They'll find a way. Just like I did. I thought you were better than this, she snaps. I shake my head slowly. No. You thought I'd still need you. And now you're mad that I don't. I stand up. People at nearby tables glance at me. I don't care. I look down at the woman who gave birth to me, who also broke me. I'm not bitter, I say. But I won't be used. You don't get to rewrite who you are now that I'm someone worth knowing. She doesn't respond. I nod once. Goodbye. And I walk out of the cafe. Outside, the air feels lighter. Like a storm has passed. I pull out my phone and text my brother Mark. Just met with Mom. You were right. She hasn't changed. But I have. Let's talk later. He texts back in 2 minutes. You okay? I am now. That night, I journal for the first time in months. Not about pain. Not about resentment. About growth. About the freedom that comes from no longer needing approval from the people who failed to love you. I write one line over and over again until my pen runs dry. She gave me life. I gave myself everything else. Some stories don't end with applause. They end quietly, with peace. With the sound of your own breathing, steady and strong, as you walk away from a place that once broke you. It's been 4 months since that cafe meeting with my mother. We haven't spoken since. She never followed up, never texted, never emailed again. I guess she finally realized the door she slammed on me years ago doesn't swing both ways. And I'm okay with that. Actually, I'm more than okay, I'm free. I've spent the past few weeks building something I wish I had when I was 16. Something for kids like me. Young people kicked out by their families, told they were too much or not worth the trouble. It started as an idea scribbled in my journal. Now it's a fully funded nonprofit. We call it the second door. Because sometimes, the first one slams shut. But that doesn't mean you stop knocking. It just means you build your own. We offer housing assistance, scholarships, mentorship, emotional counseling. And above all, dignity. Mark is one of our financial donors now. He insists on staying anonymous. He's doing well, married, 2 kids, quiet life in Oregon. But he never forgets. He remembers what it was like to see me tossed aside like trash. And he's proud of what I built. He told me once, "You didn't just rise. You brought stairs with you." I cried when he said that. Some days, I still feel that little ache. Not for her. Not for my mom. But for the version of me that begged her to change. For the girl who thought if she just tried harder, behaved better, loved more, she'd be allowed to stay. She never got her miracle. She got thrown out. But she survived. And now she gets to stand on stage in front of rooms full of donors and students and say, "You're not broken. You were just left behind by people too small to carry your greatness." Last week, I got invited to speak at a major university's graduation ceremony. Not as a student this time, as the keynote. When I step up to the mic, I pause and take in the crowd. Thousands of faces. Some smiling. Some crying. Some just holding on. I tell them my story, the short version. Not the pity tale, not the horror reel. Just the truth. The rise. The choices. I end with this. Family is who shows up. Not who shares your DNA. You get to choose your people. You get to choose you. And the whole place stands. Not just for me. For themselves. For every kid who was told they weren't enough. Afterward, a girl maybe 17 comes up to me backstage. Big eyes. Bitten nails. Wrinkled hoodie. She asks, "What do you do when your mom says you ruined her life?" I look her right in the eyes. And I say, "You go build a life so bright she can't even look at it without sunglasses." She smiles. She asks if she can hug me. We do. And that moment, it feels like a page turning. Not just for her. For me too. So no, my mother doesn't get my money. She doesn't get my time. She doesn't get a seat at the table I built. But my son? He gets all of it. My love. My protection. My belief in him. He's the reason I never gave up. And he's going to grow up knowing. He will never have to earn a place in my heart. He was born in it. I end the story where it began. With me at 16, crying in the dark. Only now I go back, not to relive it, but to reclaim it. I whisper to that girl, "You were never too much. They were just not enough." And finally, I let her go. Because I don't need her to fight anymore. I've got it from here.